Hello people, welcome back to the channel and thanks for watching the video. In this one I really want to highlight to men in general and more so young men, because I wish that I knew this when I was younger, that when it comes to women you have to present your best self, and realistically that is enough, and that less is more with women. Because realistically, the more attention you give a woman, the less value she sees in you and the less respect she has for you, because you become suffocating and needy. So what I learned was, realistically, if you go to the gym and your body's in good shape and you're decent enough looking, you're masculine, you don't even need to be flashy. You don't need to flash money and boast and try and get all the attention and go up and say, can I buy you a drink, and try all the usual chat lines. It just is not needed. And it helps you stand out from the rest of these guys that do this, who chase women and try and impress them. Ultimately, women like that and they love the attention, but they will never respect you if you chase them. Because if you put a woman on a pedestal and, you know, kind of worship her, she's never going to see you as a man she can respect or look up to, because you look up to her. So in this video, it's just going to explain to you a bit more detail what I'm saying, and I really think a lot of men need to understand that less is more. Bring your best self and it'll go a long way. Women will respect you a lot more if you just, you know, you don't chase them. You act cool, you act masculine, and genuinely, if you do everything I say there, you'll find you have more success with women. As long as you're decent enough looking, your hygiene's on point, you know, your body's in good enough shape, and you're good enough looking, you don't need to try too hard with women, especially in like a nightclub or anywhere where there's drink and women are getting loose. If they find you attractive, oh boy, they will let you know. I can assure you of that. I have been very surprised from when I was never really a person to try and get women. Like, I always kind of I was good enough looking that, you know, I didn't need to try hard. But one thing I noticed was when I started to go to the gym, just, in my 30s I started going to the gym. And when I started getting my body in shape and more toned and defined and obviously healthier and better looking, oh wow, when I went out to nightclubs, literally I cannot go out to a nightclub or anywhere where women are drunk without them coming up to me and talking or trying to get it on with me. I've even had chicks come up to me and say, are you going to bend me over? Not literally straight away, but after interacting a bit. But they've come up to me. Honestly, I could tell you many a story, but that's not the point. Less is more. Just trust me. Bring your best self, and less is more. The better you bring yourself, the less you need to try. That's it. So without rambling too much longer, I'll watch the video and give my thoughts here and now.
The insight or lesson that I'm going to share with you guys in this video is, to be totally upfront with you, probably the most important thing that you'll ever hear in your entire life when it comes to women, when it comes to attraction. And I'm not just saying that, this is actually true. So what you have to understand is that when it comes to women, when it comes to the female brain in particular, one of the most powerful forces, if not the most powerful force of the human brain and of the female brain, is essentially a molecule called dopamine. Now, I know you've all heard dopamine. What this is essentially the brain chemical that makes you want things. Okay, dopamine is what they call the craving chemical. And guess what triggers it more than anything else? Guess what triggers dopamine inside of a woman's brain more than anything else? What it is attention. Okay, this is why women in particular are so addicted to social media. This is why women are always on their phones, nonstop. It's why they're always checking their notifications. That's why they're the most active participants in all the social media websites. The reason why is because every time you get a notification on social media, for example, every time you get a like, every time you get a message, every single time that someone looks your way, even in the real world, every time someone laughs at your joke, every time somebody, replies to your story, right, on Instagram or something, what happens is you actually get a dopamine spike. And for women, what you have to understand is that women typically feel this far more powerfully than men. Okay, so dopamine is extremely overpowered in the brain of every woman out there. And so every time a woman gets a notification, a like, a message, anything like that, her dopamine in her brain actually spikes, and her brain will light up pretty much like a slot machine. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Okay, where it gets really interesting is that women, just like men, are wired to chase dopamine. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the difference. What's most important about this is how they chase it. Okay, because the way that women chase dopamine is very different than the way that men chase it. You see, from a young age, the majority of women on this planet are taught, both socially and biologically, that their value as a human being is closely tied to the amount of attention that they are able to get. Okay? And it's not always by choice, it's just the way that the system works. And so what this essentially means is that over time, attention for women becomes something that is so much more deeper than just feeling noticed. It becomes essentially a literal currency. Okay, so for women, attention is a literal currency. Okay, it is what they basically exchange value in. Okay, it becomes a currency. And so when you look at women and when you look at attention, what this means, or the implications of this, is that attention essentially becomes the thing that women trade for status, for power, for security, for connection, for validation. Okay, now here's where most guys get it wrong. Okay, here's where most guys fail. This is why the majority of men fail with women. Most men, paradoxically and ironically, think that giving a woman more attention will make her like them more. And so what they typically do is they flood women with text messages. They compliment women nonstop. They like every photo a woman has on their social media. They watch every story, and they respond to everything that women say to them instantaneously. Okay, but here's the catch. Here's the catch. Here's what you have to understand. Okay, this is what the small percentage of men who get all the women understand. Okay, and it really is kind of a secret, but it's not once you understand it. So what the small percentage of men who get all the women understand is that whenever something is given away too easily, it loses value. Okay, and so when your attention is always available to women, okay, and attention is the currency that basically women operate on, when a woman knows that she can have your attention anytime without doing anything for it, it no longer feels like a reward. Okay, it no longer feels valuable. Okay, just think about your favorite video game, right? Think about, like, imagine you play, like, Grand Theft Auto or something, right? Imagine if in whatever video game you play, you had unlimited money. Okay, there's probably been a game you played where you put in a cheat code and you got unlimited money. Now, that's always fun for a little bit at first, right? It's always fun, to have infinite money. You can buy anything you want. But then guess what happens? What happens very, very quickly, in fact, is that once you put in that cheat code and you get that infinite money glitch, all of a sudden now, the money starts to become worthless. Okay, after a while, the money is no longer worth anything to you because you have unlimited amounts of it. Okay, so it becomes almost meaningless. It almost becomes like background noise. Okay, this is exactly what happens when it comes to attention with women. This is what happens when your attention is given away too easily to women. Okay, so if we go a little bit deeper, there's a concept in psychology you've probably heard 1,000 times by now, but I want to drive it home one more time. Okay, there's a concept in psychology called intermittent reinforcement. And essentially what this means is that people respond strongest to the rewards that they cannot predict. Okay, people respond strongest, women in particular, get the greatest spike of dopamine to rewards or attention, for example, that they cannot predict. Okay, so when you give a woman attention in random intervals, in random spurts, to the point where she never knows how much attention you're going to give her or when you're going to give it to her, what this essentially does is it literally short circuits a woman's brain. Okay, it literally short circuits it. And so if you think about gambling, right? This is why people get addicted to slot machines. This is why people get addicted to gambling. It's the same exact concept. They get addicted to the idea that they might win. Okay, it's not even the money. It's not even, the jackpots. It's the idea that they might win something big. Okay, this is what brings them back to the casinos over and over and over again. It's the same exact concept with women. Okay, it's not because they always win. It's because they only win sometimes. So the same logic applies here. So when your attention that you give to women is constant, it becomes expected. It becomes like this infinite money glitch, to where after a little while, women start to basically value it as nothing. Okay, but when your attention is earned, when your attention is rare, when it's unpredictable, when it's intentional, when it's given out sparingly, all of a sudden for women, okay, because remember, for women, the most powerful hook that you have for women, the most powerful essentially force or point of leverage that you have with women is attention, okay? Because for women, attention is literal currency, okay? Attention is everything for women. And so when you control your attention becomes valuable, okay? It becomes addicting for women. It becomes the thing that women want most. Okay? This is what most guys don't understand. Most guys go their entire life thinking that in order to get women, they should give them more attention. And then when that doesn't work, they give them more attention and more attention. And then eventually it becomes worthless, okay? Most men think that women want their love. They think they want their time. They think they want their effort. And sure, those things matter, okay? But the thing that drives women crazy, the thing that literally short circuits a woman's mind and makes her obsessed with you, makes her curious, makes her interested in you, makes her attracted to you, is simply the feeling that your attention is limited and that she has to earn it, okay? It's a very, very simple concept, a very simple idea, yet so profoundly powerful that it's probably the most important thing you'll ever come to understand about women and attraction, okay? So the small insight, the small lesson that a tiny percentage of men in this world understand that most other guys don't and maybe never will, is that for women, attention is the currency, okay? Attention is literally the currency of women. This is what women want from men more than anything else, okay? And there's many different reasons for this. There's many different, environmental, programming, societal, reasons for this. But you don't have to understand why it's this way. You just have to understand that it is. You have to understand that attention is the currency of women. And so as a man, the better that you control your attention, the more powerful, the more attractive you will be to every woman out there. If you give your attention away too easily, you will go broke. But if you make women earn it, they will pay attention to you, okay? They will become obsessed with you, okay? Giving a woman attention or making her earn it and giving her, making it so that she never knows how much attention she's going to get from you or when she's going to get it is literally something that short circuits a woman's brain to the point where she will become obsessed with you. In fact, one of the number one signals out there that all of the highest value, highest status men have, if you look at like celebrities, rock stars, professional athletes, okay, men who have limitless options, one of the, if not the number one signal that these men give off that women instinctually know is these men they're very, very guarded with their attention. Okay, so these men basically they treat their attention in a way that's very guarded. Okay, and they do exactly what I just told you in this video. That's how they use their attention. They understand that for women, attention is the currency. So the more you control this, the more you control your attention, the more you control the currency. Okay, the richer you'll become when it comes to women, and you're able to control the one thing that means more than anything else to women. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and as always, until next time.
Yeah, so in essence, the bottom line is attention is women's main currency, their main thriving factor, the thing that they value the most from men. But You have to carry yourself like a king. You don't want to carry yourself like a peasant or some random person that's just always there. You have to act like you have to be confident, not necessarily, you know, an asshole or too over the top. You just have to be confident and composed and stoic. And realistically, you give them attention, but don't make it consistent. So, like, for example, when you start to speak to a chick and you get it going, a guy's reaction is they enjoy it, so they keep wanting to speak and message a chick. This is what happens with young guys. And the woman might be receptive to a while because you're giving her attention. But there'll come a point, whether it be a day, 2 days, a week, 2 weeks, or a month, there'll come a point once that attention starts to lose its value because you give her too much. And you basically overload her receptors and there's no thrill from it. You're taking away the thrill because you're literally saturating her with attention. But whereas if you keep it reserved and give it out sparingly, and in essence around women, don't act like, oh, it's a chick, I need to ask her and I need to impress her and I need to ask her if she wants a drink and I need to do this and da-da-da-da. No. You just act like she's not even there. Maybe acknowledge her a bit, but then move on. And you'll find that in a nightclub setting, if you are your best self, you know, you're in good shape, you're good looking, I'm not going to lie, you need to be like a decent height. Now, I would say the minimum is like 5'10", 5'11" before this can kind of work. This is just my opinion. But you need to be about 5'10", in good shape, at a minimum, maybe 5'11". You know, you have to be in good shape, you have to have good enough looks, you have to be, you know, and like I said, you have to work on how you act around women, because that is the key. Now, I'm not saying that the looks and the height is everything, because I would definitely say the way you act around women is the key factor in whether they will like you or not. So the bottom line is, you need to find a groove for yourself, but just don't act too impressed by women. Just because a woman's pretty, it doesn't mean you need to go, oh, you're so pretty. Because if you do that, you're falling in a line with 90% of other men who do the same. So you do not stand out to her. That is where a lot of men go wrong. They think, oh, if I try and impress her and yada yada and give her all the big man talk and impress her with my money and I'll buy her this, you're just falling in the category of a simp and somebody who's putting her up on a pedestal, and you're just going in the line with the other 90%. But that 10% that she's thriving and striving and craving for is the man who treats her, you know, indifferently. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, you're a chick, cool. Yeah, we can speak, whatever. Oh, well, if you're annoying me, I'm just going to tell you. If I like you, let's have a laugh. If I don't like what you're saying, I'm just going to walk away. You know, that's the kind of attitude you have to have. It has to be cool, calm, collected, and you're doing what you want to do. Do not just fall into the mindset, I must impress this woman at all costs. Because when you fall into that mindset, you've lost. I'm telling you. So, until the next time, take it easy and peace.